And this morning, as we stand here prepping for this morning, we had more people in our setup team and prayer team than we've ever had before. Isn't that awesome? In a room full of people who are here, I don't know if you know this, but the prayer team come here every week at 9:45 to pray for all of you, to pray for anyone out there who might be coming today. The setup team, John and the worship team today, got here at 8:30 to set up, and do it all. Because the reality is that these people want to create a place and a space for you to have your lives transformed. Isn't that awesome? Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. But the reality is that all this stuff happens because of people who are sacrificially pouring into us as a church family week in and week out. And today, as I've been thinking about and praying about what I'd like to share with you, really, Emma told me I've got 15 minutes, so I'm already 5 minutes in. And I want to share this idea, really, of like how we ended up here, and kind of like two key things for me and Emma that drives us forward. And if you've ever seen any of Altitude's advertising, it'll always say like this: Altitude Church, there's a seat for you. It's something that me and Emma specifically really was praying about, saying, what sort of church do we want to be? We want to be a church where there is always a seat set up for the people who aren't here yet. If you're part of the setup team, you literally do that. You set up the seats, the tea and the coffee, the tech, for people who aren't even in the room yet, hoping people turn up. But also, if everyone looks around, are all the seats full?
Not yet.
Not yet. Come on. Not yet. And the reality is, I want to kind of go through this idea there is a seat for you. And maybe I thought today, I'm going to be a little bit, I can't remember what the word is, self-indulgent today. Is that okay? Can I be a little bit self-indulgent today? Are we all right with that?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I thought a little bit self-indulgent because maybe you don't know our story. Maybe you don't know who we are and what we're about. Maybe you turned up at church and you're already a few years in. Or maybe you've never thought about who me and Emma are and my family are. Because maybe you're here loving church, loving exploring faith here. And so really I kind of want to take you on a bit of a whirlwind journey of what it means for me and Emma to mean there's a seat for you. And it's probably maybe some of you might have thought about it before. And maybe some of you haven't. We'll try not to get emotional. This is Emma and me will try not to get emotional. I'm going to go through a series of slides and photos for you to show you about who we are. Who wants to see a little bit about who we are? That's me right there. This is me having the privilege of, me and Emma worked on part of a team called Cultivate, which is a huge youth camp that reached across all the boroughs of London. We used to go away to a place called Kefania, and we had the privilege of helping lead that for 4 years. We'd see 500 to 600 young people come, and we'd be in charge of facilitating, making that happen, looking through insurance policies about whether we could have a slip and slide anymore after the horrific injuries. And we're part of a beautiful team who we are still amazing friends with a passion to sacrificially serve the young people of this generation. And we saw every year 500 to 600 people come, tons of young people coming to faith. At this service, I got the privilege of preaching and teaching the gospel to these young people. And a few years later, I was at another youth event, and someone came to me as an adult and said, it was in one of your talks, Ben, that I became a Christian. And that you would never have known that. He said, I've gone on to serve Jesus and find Jesus. This right here is Judah, and there's Malachi. This is one of the, I believe this is probably Judah's birthday. I think it's Judah's birthday. And what you won't know about this picture is this is happening in our old church lounge. We had a church building, our large church, with the key holders, and one of the privileges of being one of the pastors was I got free use of a church building, so parties were always free. But what you can't see in this picture is there's a girl sitting just there who loved us so much she sacrificially served and gave up her Saturday to put on my kids' party for me. And actually, for my kids here, these are all their friends from preschool and from school that they came along to have at their birthday party. Me and Emma had the privilege of taking over a youth group, and we were taking it on to re-pioneer the work God had done. The first week we took it over, we had a team of 10 people. They all stepped down the day we took over, and it went down to a team of 2. We had 4 young people and just me and Emma. When we left that church, we set up not just a youth expression, we set up a whole youth church that ran in tandem to our main church building. And we had young people not just coming because their parents were Christian, we had people walking off the street. Something like 20% of our young people came to church on their own with no Christian links to find faith. We baptised tons of them, and the greatest thing I love about this is nearly all of our young people are still in church, still serving God. They still ring us and are in contact with us. But beyond that, what also we had is amazing opportunity for them to find and grow in their faith. Brilliant. Down here is, I don't know if you've ever heard of Watoto Children's Choir. They're the biggest children's choir. What you won't know is the church we were at, we were always the first church they landed at. which means as soon as they landed in the UK, our church had the privilege of taking on all these kids who have landed straight in the UK from freezing cold weathers. And our church, we would work, me and Emma, I could not tell you the hours, but we got a lot of room time back. Yeah, we would get there at 5 o'clock in the morning to start breakfast, then go to bed at 11 o'clock at night, and that's when we'd leave them, and we'd be back in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had to get all of their tech and their equipment out of storage that was stored in the UK, test 1,000 cables, test 15 microphones, test projectors. But this choir travelled the UK, got to meet the Queen, got to sing at the big church festival out, and our church's privileges was to host them. And being the pastors, one of our privileges was being part of that team who got to look after kids who were really young, up to about 11 years old, who were trying to orientate what it looks like to do a winter in Britain. One of the greatest moments of that was the day it snowed. And our lead pastor's wife ran out and bought 50 pairs of wellies so that 50 kids could go outside and play in the snow. This is me just here, just in case you're wondering who this handsome chap is. This was some of our leadership team in my church. We had the privilege of raising money to build a £3 million building. And part of that was we walked the whole cross-network rail that was being built, and we got amazing miracles take place. And this is in the underground tunnels as it was being built. Someone got access to this and to walk on all the underground tunnels as they were being built. And we got to walk from one end to the other team. This yet again meant that me and my mate John, so that's me there, and this is my mate John over there, we were in charge as the two other pastors, because this is the lead pastor, Pete, was to do this. Was Pete would walk the Crossrail walk. Me and John's was to film it, photography it, be the water group, the food group, planning out where he's stopping and where he's going next. He would start his walk every morning at 6 o'clock and he'd walk until 10 o'clock every night. And we had to be at the hotel he finished at before we got there, and we had to be at the hotel he was leaving at before he left. And we got this amazing privilege of this, and it led back to, because it ends in my town that we used to live in Brentwood, and this is the amazing team that pulled this together. This man here, he wasn't a Christian at all, but he came to our mothers and toddlers group. And he worked on the Crossrail. He was in charge of this. I can't go into it here, but the amazing technology that made it possible to spray concrete, he was the leading expert on it. And through the mothers and toddlers group, he said, I could actually give you access to every single tunnel. And he walked the whole of it with Pastor Pete to get this done. This is me, you see me here. And this is our first leadership conference. This is me, the assistant pastor John, and the lead pastor there, Pete, who was a little bit older than us. This was again going to... Huh? Yeah, and Emma's taking the photo. And this is the staff team I've got the privilege to be part of for 8 years. Our staff team, I think there was 8 staff team in total, 3 pastors, a children's worker, kids worker, community outreach worker, CAP worker, and there was a whole staff team. So this was the lead pastors and us going away to conference with Emma to be part of this. And this is the staff team. Every single day I got to work with, thrash through ideas, dream big dreams, work through how do we go from a church that needs to raise £3 million to putting on a Crossrail walk and covering the whole of London in a week. And this was a really good friend of mine, John, who I got to work with all that time. This was the church we're part of, a church of 200 to 250 people. I had the privilege of being one of the pastors there, which means once a month I got the privilege of preaching to that church. I got the privilege of looking after and caring for all of these people, young people, from the age of 11 to 18. Still to this day I get phone calls from youth parents who are concerned and worried, who want me to give their kid a phone call, even though they're in their 20s and no longer a child. Here is the photo's covering a little bit, but here is one of the biggest outreaches we did every single year, which was the fun run. It's the last half marathon before the London Marathon, so all the pace setters would have to come here to set the pace for the London Marathon. On that day, something like 10,000 people would run, and through our doors we'd have 3,000 people come through our doors. One of my greatest achievements in the fun run was I convinced our church to use portaloos rather than internal toilets. Because every single Monday after the fun run, who wants to guess what the free pastor's first job was? And you think I'm joking? 3 lead pastors in toilets with spades digging out poo. Just so that we can host 3,000 people before they run a marathon. This is me and my friends that I grew up with, coming together with our babies. There's little baby Malachi, a little baby Ava and Chloe, and Ollie there. And these are my friends, people I grew up with, people who I love dearly, people who I still see. These are their children. There's now a lot more of us. Our kids far outnumber the adults, but that's who we are. Here, this is some of our other friends. These are the Musgraves, people who we passionately loved and cared for. We did life together. We went on holiday together. And these are some of those people who our kids would grow up and know when we were in Essex. This is our Christmas service, the last one we had the privilege of being part of. We run 3 back-to-back services, seeing over 1,000 people come to church in those 3 services. We built a full-size stable inside that. We built a full-size crib and all that sort of stuff. We had the privilege of hosting so many people come in to the doors. Now, why have I allowed myself to be so self-indulgent today? Because maybe some of us need to realise that there is a seat for you. That there is a seat for you out at your church. And maybe what we don't realise is this. We didn't come here for a job. We didn't come here for a pay rise. We didn't come here because a person asked us. We didn't come here and it cost us nothing. We said, this here was our banquet table. And I had the privilege for 8 years of working with some amazing men and women of God to help create a beautiful banquet table. I got the privilege of cooking dinners. I got the privilege of sitting alongside people, listening to people in their dying breath and seeing young people baptised. And the reality is we were surrounded by friends, we were surrounded by church, we were surrounded by mentors, we were surrounded by everyone and everything. Our life was hard but amazing. And what we said was this, is that to leave all of this behind, me and Emma and our children have sacrificed friendships. We've sacrificed leaving a school that is outstanding to come to a school in the Isle of Wight where there isn't one currently that is that level that our kids can go to. And the reason we did it is this. These are another privilege. Is that our kids didn't grow up in church alone. That's our staff Christmas meal. Our kids were surrounded by other kids whose parents were pastors. So that was their Christmas meal. We had ours. They got to sit together and be pastors' kids and talk about and have all the fun of getting free fish and chips on Christmas. This is our team. When we took over our church, our team all stepped down from our youth team. When we left, we actually left 12 team behind. All of these people here, when they joined us, they found faith at our church. He was our young person in year 7 the day we took over. He's now actually part of our trusteeship of this church. Becca here, when we left our church, these guys could lead, they could preach, they could teach, they could lead someone to faith, they could help grow their faith. But more than that, they were our friends who would rally around us at any time, at any moment. Ben helped dig the foundations for my extension. We left it all for this, for one seat. Because I think sometimes when we come to it, what we don't realise is if you don't know us, you don't understand us, maybe you think we'd just come here because this was the better option. Maybe that's what you think. But what I want you to understand is we came realising this, that there was a seat to be set because we truly believe that when God called us here, that there was people on an island calling out for a place to sit and there was no place set for them. So me and Emma said, what is worth sacrificing our friendships, our leadership, our friends, our family? What is it all worth for all those pictures I showed you, being involved in huge youth events, having a great influence, a great sway, having a consistent paycheck, having all of these things, what would it be worth? What would it have to be summarised down into for it to be worth it? And it came down to this, one person. And so what we did was we left the comfort of our home. And we said, all of that is worth it for this. Yes. With no guarantee. With no guarantee. That we could put a seat down. That we could create a space and a place for someone to find and grow in faith. And we said, for all of the stuff we've showed you, all of that sacrifice would be worth it for one. And so what we did was we laid a chair and we prepared a place for one person. And as we did that, we were joined by people like Jonathan and Sandra, Sarah and AJ, John and Jill, who said, you know what, for them it was sacrifice too. It was high risk to give up what they'd known of church to come to somewhere where some new people arrived and said, we're planting a church. And they said to us, you know what, we're willing to take the risk as well. We're willing to have the sacrifice and say, you know what, I think it could be worth it too. That maybe we could also set a place for other people. Yeah. And so they started to say, you know what, Ben, we don't know what it looks like yet. We don't understand fully what it's going to be like. What we do know is that this is worth it. Yeah. And so what happened was they joined us in this mission to say, let's start to say that there is a seat for you, even though we don't know who the you are yet. And so what happens is, AJ, could you grab me another chair? Is that people start to join us on the journey saying this, you know what? I'm going to leave my church and what I know to come here to try and help say that I'm going to set up a seat for you. And what happens is that for every single person, it goes like this. And AJ, you can come up, and Jonathan, you can come up. is this is what starts to happen. AJ, you can come and sit. You can sit here. And so AJ comes along, and the seed that I have placed, in the seed that I have sacrificially, that we have sacrificially given, we have set it for AJ. And then when AJ sits down, what he's done, he says, I'm welcomed and loved here. And what I want to do is to set the seat for the next person. And so he puts down his seat. And then what happens is the next person joins. Sandra, you can come up. Is that Sandra has to say, is the sacrifice, is it all worth it? And so what happens is there's a seat ready for her. And this is what we mean when we say there is a seat for you. What it is the person who has sat down could say this. This seat you've laid for me, Ben, at this banquet table is so beautiful and so nice and so comfortable. And I've got everything I could possibly want and need. Why would I ever put down another chair? Because what that means is for some time I'm going to have to sacrifice what I want for that seat. But the reality is every time a seat is put down and someone sits in it, we have to trust that the next person who comes who says, I truly believe that it's really worth it to say that there is a seat here for you. Yes. And what it means is that some of these people need to get out of their seats and you'll walk it up and go grab another chair. And for some of their time sitting at the banquet table, guess what? They can't actually be there. But why? Why would they stop? Why would they give up? Why would they sacrifice? Why would they join the worship team, the catering team, the finance team, the prayer team, the set-up team, the pack-down team, the pastoral care team? Because that's what these guys were at the beginning. They were everything and anything. And why would they sacrifice the comfort of their seat? Because what they realised was the comfort should inspire us and charge us up for the future to say, actually, I want to get out of my seat and lay the next seat for the next person. You can sit down, guys. Yay. And these are just a couple of verses that God's challenged me about for us to think about. Luke 11, 18, 20 to 30. Yes, Jesus replied, I assure you that everyone who has given up house or wife or brother or parents or children for the sake of the kingdom of God will be repaid many times over in this life and will have eternal life in the world to come. Every sacrifice that people do when they get out of their chair to sacrifice their comfort, their wants, their desires for the next person, it doesn't just say it's going to disappear, it says there is a reward for those things. Jesus leads us in the most amazing act of this. He says, for even the Son of Man, God himself, came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many. Isaiah 14, 18 to 20. But forget all that. It's nothing compared to what I am going to do. For I am about to do something new. See, I've already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in dry land. And that's what these people do. They say, I'm not going to hold on to what I knew of the past. I'm not going to bring in my past into this. What I'm going to do is say, God is doing a new thing. And I'm going to trust what he's doing now. And I'm going to take this seat. I'm going to say, oh, this is so good. I found faith here. I've come to faith here. My faith has been rekindled. I found Jesus. I'm growing in my faith. And because of that, how could I not want this for the next person? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help them put out their chair. I'm going to put their plate out. I'm going to slice their turkey for them. And as I do it for them, what I want them to do is to do it for the next person. As evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, let's cross to the other side of the lake. So Jesus got in the boat and started out, leaving the crowd behind. This verse here has defined the whole of my life. It's one of the most challenging talks I've ever heard. Which is Jesus right here is surrounded by crowds of people who love him, who want to hear everything he's got to teach. And he leaves the crowds. And you follow this story through, you think maybe he's left the crowds for the millions and he's leaving the thousands behind. But actually what he's leaving behind is the crowd is for the one. And he finds one person. And he brings that one person to a salvation knowledge of who he is. And that one person then goes off and he doesn't just say, glory be to God, I'm now saved, healed and redeemed. I can sit here in my comfy seat until the day I go to glory. No, he runs around and you can read the story about the Decapolis and the 10 cities he went to, putting out chairs saying, guys, we need more chairs. Everyone needs to know my job now is I've been saved to put out chairs because I want everyone else to know this amazing freedom, this amazing love, this amazing passion. And this guy is running around saying, if you could only just come and sit, if you could only just come and be, a place is prepared, paid in full for you. And as he does it, that's what he does. And he left the crowds to find the one. And that one made another crowd.
Very good.
Because he laid out his chairs. He said it wasn't just for me to be a consumeristic Christian who sits in his chair saying, what can I get? Instead, he said, what can I give? What can I do? How could I not want to share? How could I not want to do? And me and Emma have sacrificed all of that stuff. And we talk about it often. And we often go back to God saying, God, we lay it all down. We surrender it all to you. Every friendship, pay rises, job security, social standing, amazing ability to preach to large crowds, leading large youth events. And we say, but God, if you've asked us to leave the crowd, it must be worth it for one more chair. There's a seat for you, which is awesome. The real question for all of us to think is this: how are you setting the seat for, sorry for the spelling mistake, next person? How are you setting the seat for the next person? And it's the challenge for the day. Is that me and Emma are here, and I want you to know something. And it's actually come up to me in one of my conversations with Michael. Me and Emma have never asked you to do anything we have never done. The reason we stand here, and this is a story that will stay with me as long as I live, and if you've never heard it before, you get the privilege today, and it's this, is that one of the young people I raised, I once stood up on a Sunday and told them about sharing our faith and not being afraid of persecution. And we have to let people know that it's God doing it. It's not just because we're nice people. And a young person came back to me the next week. He was at 15, so going into year 11. A crucial point in being popular at school. And he came back and he said to me this. He said, "Oh Ben, I want to tell you something." I was like, "Go ahead, tell me." He said, "I was in the queue today and there was a bacon roll. There's one bacon roll left in the canteen. And I picked it up. I heard the guy behind me say, 'I really want that last bacon roll. I can't believe he's took the bacon roll.'" And Smite Bailey, he remembered that the talk I'd given on Sunday as a 15-year-old kid, and he said, "I'm going to give him the bacon roll. And not only am I giving him the bacon roll, because he would normally do that, I'm going to tell him it's because Jesus loves him." So Bailey, in the middle of the school queue, in a hall of 1,000 people, picks up his little bacon roll, and he says, "Here it is. Here's my bacon roll. And I want you to know Jesus loves you." And in that moment, the guy often said, "You're an idiot to give me your bacon roll, and I don't want to hear about Jesus." And Bailey, embarrassed and bright red as he would have been, turned around, queued up, got a slice of pizza, and came to church to tell me. And the reality is, the reason he did it was because I stood up on the Sunday before and told him that's what he had to do. That we have to be fulfilling all the things we're called to. And I want to let you guys that me and Emma leave from a point of integrity. We leave from a point of saying that the reason we came here is I could never look at Bailey again and say, "I told you to take the biggest risk in your teenage years, which was to go to school, give someone your bacon roll. When you do it, tell them it's because of Jesus. It's not just good enough to be a nice person." How could I turn to him and say, "God asked me to come here and called our family and we were going to sacrifice it all, but we decided really it wasn't good enough"? Because at that point, the option is to step down from ministry because we have no integrity, or stay in ministry and do what God's called us to. And we decided that this chair was worth it. And now we stand here and we look around at all of you, we still see it's worth it. And so the two questions are today is, how are you helping set the seat for the next person? Is there a risk you've turned into a consumer Christian saying, "What can church give to me? If it doesn't my taste, my style and what I want, I don't like it"? Or maybe you should live your life driving around the seat next to you a little bit more comfortable, because who knows who the next person who's going to sit to you is. But maybe today you're here and you're not a Christian. And you're lost, you're lonely, you're broken. I want to let you know there is a seat set for you, fully paid for. There's a beautiful dinner waiting for you. And God's saying to you, "I have made a way for you to have a living relationship with you." And he just wants to invite you into that relationship, to make you free, to make you have a living, breathing relationship with God. It says in the Bible, "For God so loved the world, he gave his one and only Son. Whoever believes in him will perish, but have eternal life." And that is the invitation to you this morning, is to come and sit at the table. And I say, "God, whatever it is, I want to make you the Lord of my life. I want to surrender my life to you, and I want to believe that your death on the cross was enough to forgive me all of my sins."
Thank you so much for being part of Altitude Church online today. We would love it if you would consider becoming part of the Altitude family. Email us on hello@altitudechurch.com or contact us via our social media. There are loads of ways that you can give to help us further the amazing work of Altitude Church on the Isle of Wight. It would make a huge difference to us if you would join us with generosity as we work together to tell more and more people about Jesus and make an impact on this amazing island.